So let's get back. So we were talking about routing, and we said we can do if else, but it will get like really complicated, and we need like more functionalities. For example, if it's slash to do or slash to do or something like that. Okay, stuff like that.
Record.
I'm already recording.
Record video.
I'm already recording.
Okay. Please.
But thank you for letting me know. So we will use like React package or kind of library, JavaScript library that we use like with React to do routing. This library called React Router. So it's a famous library. It's like the famous library after React in the React ecosystem. So this is like examples. So you just go to this website, React Training / React Router. Just go to web. So Slack. And you will start like if you want to read all this stuff, philosophy, static routing, and stuff like that. You should read that because I cannot read that instead of you. You should read that. I will teach you how to use it, but to understand really the problems and like deep stuff, you need to read. Just read, because there's like some stuff here, and the code that explains this stuff, and you keep reading. Okay, please do that, please. So how to use this library? It's called React Router DOM. So we need to install it actually. We go to terminal and we do npm install -- save React Router DOM. npm install save React Router DOM. Clear? We are just adding an npm package. It will load it from npm or GitHub or anything, and it will download it and put it inside the node modules. What? Save and what? Save and global?
Yeah.
Sometimes we use global. Global if you want to use it everywhere. It's a global script. Everywhere. It's not just coupled to this project. Save means save it to this project. Save dev means save it for this project, but for development and not for production. So when your website will be live, or if it's production environment, if it's development environment, you will not have that package. For example, kind of package for testing or something, you will not need it for production.
Like Yarn?
No, Yarn is like npm. Yarn and npm are the same thing. Instead of saying npm install, you say Yarn add. It's the same thing. But Yarn is not for testing. Yarn is better when it comes to resolving. So, for example, Yarn can download multiple packages at the same time and stuff like that. So it's the same thing as npm. The same thing.
npm, npx, or like the same.
npx, yeah, also. But Yarn is just like faster npm-ish. But it's not really important. No, they are trying to make it, for example, like caching. It will not like download stuff that are already just in your computer. It's like smart npm-ish, something like that. But it's not really a big difference. So now we can just a second. So sorry. We'll remove these things. This shitty code that I wrote. Okay. Now we will have the links. So the first thing to do when you want to include routing, it's to go to your route, your kind of the root or the entry point of your app. It's up, it's index here. So this is the entry point, but this is the only point. So what you need, there's like a component called browser router. It's called browser router. And what you need to do with this component is to wrap it. It's to do like this. It's like a div. You do browser router. And you put everything, all your React code inside it. Okay? So where I can put this, it's either I can put it here, or I can put it here. Okay? Or I can simply put it here. I can wrap up inside it. But you got the idea? You just wrap everything you want to render inside it. I will just do it here, so we can keep our component kind of clear. Just a second. This is stupid. This is stupid. And we need to import it here. What? JavaScript, it's not really required. Okay, so I wrap everything inside browser router because this component, this is a React component, but we didn't write it. Someone else wrote it. Okay, this is just a React component, but someone else wrote the code. It's like giving your this app to another developer. It's the same thing. And we go to app. Okay, and we start doing this. So instead of using A, because when you use A, when you click on it, it will refresh the page and shit. So you use component called link. So you do like import from React router DOM. It's a component. It's the same thing as A. It's the same thing as A. So instead of href, we say to. It's like where you want to go, kind of. We want to go to about. And here I put the text, which is about. Okay. If I click this, I will go to about. But without refreshing anything. It's just like everything happens here inside the browser. But you go there, it's a simple link. It's an A. But we are just wrapping it inside link because React Router needs this too. But you go there, instead of using A, use link. And it's a component written by other developers. Okay? So we need another link or another aligned link. To-dos. So now I'm changing URL, but I need to react to real changes and show something if the URL change. Okay? Because now we are changing the URL, but I need to render something. Render about when it's about. How we can do that? We do that using something called route. So we wrap our our whole application in a browser route. It's called browser router. And we use link to navigate. It's a link instead of a tag. And we use something called route, like this. So we will do here route. Okay, and here we will call this route component. We will give it path, which is about precisely, and we give it a component to render when it matches. We give it what? Here. About. Why? Because when the path will be about, we want to render about. Now we are rendering about. If we go to do's, we will hide about. Now it's about, not about anymore. It's about, not about anymore. If you go to this, it will not render anything. Here it's about. You got the idea? Because it's a little bit simple, I guess. It's not really complicated. We need another one for
the page freezing?
No.
Without.
That's super powerful. That's really powerful. Single page applications. You can change the whole, like, for example, let's say let's use more of our design skills. Again, let's say about page should be yeah. No. That's even worse, man. That's even worse. At least you said yellow like before. That's good. Gray. Come on. So let's say one of them should be. This is like the best design skills. Reverse it. The best design skills. Reverse it. Gray, yellow, orange. Beautiful. So let's say what the fuck? That's not good. Let's say hi. It's 80%. It doesn't work. Let's say 80 VH. Yes, it's the viewport and not percentage. So we have like this, and we can do here background.
Light blue. Light green.
Stop, please. You are killing me. You are killing me with your skills.
This green is nice one.
Let's say. Oh, that's high.
What's green now? So why it changed from red?
What?
You didn't do it. Okay.
Just a second. We should just. No. Sounds good, at least. Yeah, definitely. And we will use the same for, we will use this color. Background, we use this color, and we will try to make it. Instead of your yellow. So let's say solid. Okay. Yes, if we go to to-dos, nothing. Why nothing? Because we are not rendering any to-dos. I'm telling him if it's path, it should render about, but if it's to-dos, what? I should tell him that we should render to-dos.
But this also means that if you have your path to-dos, you can still use about, because that's just our component name.
Yes, definitely.
Right. But actually,
You can see?
here I have a little bit question.
Yes.
What here is because you don't define the red.
I just removed it.
Yeah, you removed it. You didn't define.
I did.
Removed it.
I removed it from CSS.
Yeah. So if we put it, it shows there, or it's going to mix with.
Mixed with what? It's just, this is a div.
Yeah. Cool. It's fine.
This is a div.
Excuse me. Yes.
Okay? So this is routing, but let's say also inside this, inside, for example, I'm in about, I'm in to-dos. Let's say inside to-dos, I want also like to route. If it's to-dos slash to-do ID, it's like slash 5 or slash something. So something after the to-dos, I want to render just one to-do. If it's slash to-dos, I want to render the whole list. Okay? Where I can do that? I can either do with this. I can do that here. I can do it here. I can add like another one. If it's to do slash, we do something called ID. So what's this? It's just to do slash ID. So if you go to to do slash ID, it will still render the same because this part and this part are rendering the same component. But if you make it like this, what's the difference? There is something. It's like express. You remember when you have like parameters after the URL? When you can like kind of get the params from the path. It's the same thing here. So here ID is kind of parameter. You got the idea? So now, for example, if you say hello, test, anything, it will still render to do up because this is dynamic parameter. It doesn't matter.
So what if we have two?
What do you mean? We can do this ID ID2.
I was thinking about the syntax,
This is the,
like 5 and.
what do you mean?
Using the and some, you know, when you have some, like when you use student,
Yeah.
you send more than one parameter.
That's query parameters and not URL parameters.
Okay.
I'm talking about URL parameters. I'm not talking about this.
Yeah, this one.
I'm not talking about this. This is different. I'm talking like parameters including the URL.
Okay.
So if you go to Facebook slash this is my profile. So if you go this, if you go here, if you change this, to another thing. Let's say, I don't know, like another, like,
Abdullah.
Event.
who can give me his
Mine is ABO.
A?
I don't remember actually. There's no.
Okay, it doesn't matter, but
I think ABO.
but this is like a friend.
Yeah.
So this is like Sid Ahmed,
Mhm.
and this is Yunus. So Facebook is taking this parameter at the end. So it's defined like this. When you go to something, so in because they use React Router too, so they have like they have route, they have slash, for example, like ID, or we can give it. It's just like variable. You just give it name, user ID, profile component. It doesn't matter.
Just like remember mine.
Okay. You get this?
Now my next question is.
Just a second. So you have slash. So this one is variable. Should be Yunus Miliani or Sid Ahmed, depending on the Rasmussen or anything.
Mm.
So yes. So you got like
That means you must have defined the ID before you put it as part of the parts that you want.
no, because inside this component you can access this ID.
Okay, yeah.
And when you access this ID, you can render like stuff differently. So if it's Yunus Miliani, you get stuff for Yunus Miliani. If it's Sid Ahmed, you get stuff for Sid. Something like that. You got the idea?
It's that means it is the.
It's not like this. For example, this is static.
Yeah.
If it's to dos, you render to dos.
Inside the to do app.
What do you mean by inside the to do?
Like that to do is inside the to do app. It's inside.
This one?
No, that line 20.
Inside
To do's is inside the component to do app.
No. This is the component to do apps. I'm telling the router, if the path is this, render this component.
Okay.
If it's about, render this about. If it's to do slash something else, render to do up. If it's slash something, which is not about or to do's, because it will about. For example, if you go here, you got the idea behind Facebook a little bit, or slash event or something. They have like slash event. They have every. Your profile is not defined. So let's say we're under. I will just give it like a function here. Let's say return, because it's a function. It's a component. A component, it could be a function. So I'm just returning like here. H2. Profile. So if we go to slash, let's see, it's profile. But it's if for example I say Yunus, just Yunus, it's still profile. But if I say about, it will render this. Why? Because it will start checking this. If I will give it like, if I will give it about, it will check the first one. Is it about? Yes, about. Okay, render this. But if I will give it Yunus, it will be, is it this Yunus? Is this match? No, it doesn't match, because Yunus is different than about. If it's to do's, no. If it's to do, if it's this match, no, because we need to do's and after that two slashes. This match, because this dynamic and Yunus could be the dynamic thing. Let's go to about again. But if you go to about, there is profile under. Why? Because if you go to about, this will match. This will match. This will not match. This will not match. This will not. This will match. You know why? Because about could be like Yunus, dynamic part. So it will render these two. So it's like this match, yes or no. If it match, we render it. Otherwise, we will not render it. You got the idea? So this will match because slash about is defined here. This will match because about could be also user ID. A user could be like his name is about.
That means if you say to do, that's the same.
Yes. So we want to prevent this because it's not good. So to prevent, but you got the idea. You got the problem. It's not a problem. Sometimes you want it like that. Yeah, no worries.
Why it goes take profile in the about? I understood why it goes for profile. And
If you say let's say you said to dos,
yeah.
it will render to dos and profile.
Okay.
You know why? Because does to dos match about? No. To dos match to dos.
Yeah.
To dos ID doesn't match. User ID match to dos because to dos could be user ID.
Yeah, it could be to dos and
Exactly. So it will render them both.
okay, it does make sense now. Okay.
Clear? We want to prevent. If you want to keep it like this, it's if you have a client and he said I want to render everything, it's his problem. But let's say you want to render just one. The first that much we will render it and we stop. Okay? The first that much we will render it and we will not render the rest. We need something called switch. So switch, it's like switch case. The first thing that match the case we just. So you have like here router, static, route, redirect, memory, nav link. We want the switch. Yes, this one. So this page has everything if you want to read. So you do the same here. Use like switch. Okay, you import switch. And the route that you want to make it kind of exclusive, you just need to render one of them. You wrap them inside switch. So I want like switch to wrap all of my route. But I could do it just for 2 or 3. If I want to make all the rest not exclusive. So now it will switch and render one of the component instead of them all. If we will check, there is no profile. Because the first one that much is to dos. It will just render to dos. If we put this above, we will never get to dos. Because this will match and it will stop. We will not get to dos. And we never get about. Because the user, this is dynamic, it matches everything. When we say it's dynamic, it means it matches everything up to your about, home, Yunus, Sid Ahmed, because the name could be anything. So it's kind of better to put it at the last because it's more general. So specific stuff, put them top because they are specific. You won't need to render. You got the idea? Is it clear? Yes. Do you have like charger?
Your laptop.
Yeah, I can get my charger from. It doesn't, but it doesn't matter. I can do it. Yes.
Now we have to use ID, but we send it to
You want to not send it. You want to get it. You want to work with it. You want to receive it. Like you want your component to receive it.
yeah, because you get it on the pad.
Yeah.
You gotta use the ID of the pad. But I want to send it
What do you mean by send
to,
it?
to the company.
Yeah, not send it, but receive it inside the component. So we will come here again, and we will say dynamic. URL params. So there is something called match. So I will remove this. I will just keep this. I will create a component called user. profile. Okay. New JavaScript user profile. Let's say import React from React function user profile export default user profile. This is props. You return, let's say div, okay, with h1, let's say h2, props, let's say dot name, or let's say just name, but we need to wrap it inside. And here we can say const name equal this, but we need to get this from the route. Okay. How we can get that? We will discuss that. Okay, so now if you go, let's say here, just random profile. Yes. Just a second.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just too slow. That was too slow. Close it out.
Okay, so we have name here. We want to get the name, so we want to import profile here because we are using user profile. Import, we can duplicate this and say user profile. Put the same shit here. Okay. But we need to render the profile because remember there is switch now. It will not render by default. So let's say Eunice. Just a random profile without any title because we still didn't get the name. So because who is rendering my component? Me? No. This raw component, inside that there is if else, or if it's match, this component will render my component. But when this component will render my component, it will pass to it some props. Okay? The route component will pass some props to me, to my component. One of these props is called match. So if you do console.log props let's say props, let's say log all the props. It's an object with history and location and match. A lot of information. Okay, so React router is passing to my component that I give it to it these props, 3 props: history, location, and match. You need to read about history, browser, it's in Danish. What? If you want to read more about history, the history API, it's like Canvas and stuff like that. You want to manipulate the browser. But you will need this information. This information like representing what's happening inside. Maybe you are adding route, you are navigating, you are changing the route. This is location, like location. For example, if I will do like this, age 17, or coming from let's say home. It's like where I'm coming from. It's like home is sending me to the profile. If you want to do like analytics or something, just it's random variable. Coming home, coming from, call home. So you can see like location, history. It's like something related to the API, to the browser. If you want to read about it, I sent you the link. The second is location. It's for example, path name here is just /Unis. You remember when I did windows.location.pathname hostname? This is the same thing. So path name, there is search. So the search queries, it's if you want to get the search queries, it's coming from here. There is like state, it's just something you should not care about. Okay. The first parameter, this the third, match. There's is exact here. We'll discuss that. There is params. The params and the user ID here.
Yeah.
So Unis is the user ID.
Mm-hmm.
Unis is the user ID. Why? Because if we will check this, for example, we tried. If we will try this slash post picture pic ID slash comment ID. So a user has a picture that has a comment.
Mm-hmm.
We go to loop match, and we have we need to change it here. So we have Unis. The picture is, let's say it's 123, the ID of the picture, and the comment, let's say it's 231. No, it's the ID of the comment. It's not the comment. So we have params, 3 params: user ID, pic ID, and comment ID. Pic ID, comment ID. Okay. You got the idea? So we can get all the parameters here. Here we have 3. You got the idea? Here we have just 1 now. We have just Unis parameter and we have these. But I want the route to render because it's rendering because we have the first part, which is slash user ID, but it's still rendering while we are having like more stuff here. So we should not do that. We should render if we have this exactly. If we have just Unis and if we have more stuff, we will not render. We want to render something else. How we can do that is using like exact. What?
It's exact. It's exact.
That's just how they name it inside. Let's check.
Yeah.
It will not remember. It will not render anything. It will not render. If you remove exact, it will render. Why? Because we have more stuff here, and we didn't say exact. We have here, and this will match this. But we have more stuff. We don't care. Some part of the URL matches what we want, so we will render. If you want to make it exact, let's say you have like slash about. Localhost slash about slash test. It will still render about, but we don't want that. We want to render if it's just about, so we make it exact. We make everything exact. You got the idea why we use exact? If you want to match exactly this. So we go to test or Yunus. And we have match. So inside the props here, we can say, let's just keep console. We have props dot match. Okay. Dot what? Dot params. Dot user ID. If I will name this username, I will get it here as username. Yunus, let's say hello to your profile. Say just B, and we have here like B. B is like bold, strong. Hello to your profile, Yunus. Hello to your profile test. Hello to your profile SSSSSY. Okay? If you do /test, no, it will not work. Because I told you I need just one parameter. Clear? Yeah?
There is some browsers like on the user slash there is a lot of stuff going on.
It's like
How is it done like that?
it's like, for example, let's say GUID generator.
Yeah, something you have to see it or
Like this one.
Yeah, something like this.
This is because it's unique. So why you see this? Because these IDs are not really related to the frontend; they are related more to the backend. So when you send the profile, for example, if we go to Facebook /Yunus_million,
And now we're taking the diagrams, so we use that number to see.
okay, but for example here you can see ID or something. So my profile ID or something like that. If you can see it. You can see here. You can see here. This is key and stuff because it's. You can see the key here is this one, and this thing means the user ID for class. So this means the user ID. Okay, and we have like lorf. So these are all lists, and they have keys and stuff. And the key here is the user ID. So here you can put the user ID. So the user ID it's something related, or any ID. It's more something related or generated by the backend and stuff. Okay. So let's say GitHub. Let's say Supernova 23. Okay, so let's get when we render this component with this URL, we'll go and fetch. Do you want to? Because I wanted to kind of have the to-do list, fetching data and fetching specific items. Or you want me to continue this and, for example, fetch GitHub profiles? When you change here, you fetch GitHub profile by the username. What do you want?
I don't know if you have something is router involved, if you want us to know what continue, give us some errors, if you do.
Yeah, fetching data is in Grok, but do you want me to fetch the data? Should I just like get the username here and fetch the repo associated with this username? Or I should work with the to-dos? Git is better? You don't want me to work with to-dos? Because we already did that, so...
Yeah, to do. You want to use the ID?
Oh, let's try to do them both. So I will refactor this to class extends React dot component. Okay. Now in component did mount. In the component did mount, we want to get this. Okay, and we want GitHub get repos. So it's this. What's the URL? What's the URL? GitHub. Slash API. Only GitHub API. Yes. Yes, just the link. Just so here we will have like slash slash users slash, for example, Yunus, or my handle is supernova23 slash repos. Okay. So now we have the name. We can use fetch. This part is dynamic. True? The username is dynamic. We say name. We say then. Response. JSON. Dot then. JSON or data. Console log data. Lore of repos. Can I get the handle of someone of you? T1IS H. Same thing. Lore of repos. Hello world. Hello R. JavaScript. Okay, so we will use this approach. We already have the data. So this you can see that Facebook is doing like this. Facebook, they just get the username and they fetch the data based on the username and they display the data. You got the idea? It's super simple.
Yeah, so actually doing it normal programming, so using the Facebook API.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of using the GitHub API, Facebook is using their APIs.
Because the backend people have already made those APIs.
Precisely. So here we will use the state.
Yes, so lazy this.
Props, super, props. Here I will have this dot state equal repos. It's an empty array. Let's say it's an empty array. Okay, let's say loading. It's loading. It's false. What loadings mean? If we are doing the request, it's loading. So sometimes you see like something is loading. We will do that now. Let's say fetch. Let's call fetch repos, and let's bind it. This dot fetch repos equal this dot fetch repos dot bind this. Okay. Let's simulate that fetch repos will take kind of a lot of time. So let's do some timeout. Let's say 3 seconds. After that, we will do the request. Okay. And here we call like this dot set state. Because we got new data, so we want to replace the data inside the state. So data repos equal to new data, and fetch loading is false because we are not loading anymore. We were loading. When we can start loading, we can do it here before the request. So we say this dot set state loading true. So loading, we are not loading the constructor. When we fetch the repos, we call loading true. So now it's loading. When we get the data, we set the data and we say we are not loading anymore. Clear for everyone? Nice. So here we can get fetch repos. But we need the name. So let's put the name here. You can see now we rendered like 2 times and 3 times. Because every time we are calling set state, this component is re-rendering again and we are doing console.log again. This is why it's 3 times. The first one, the initial render. The second one when we said loading. The third one is when the result comes. 3 times. This is why you are seeing this 3 times. Okay? So now we need just to consume the data. So we'll say this dot state of repos dot map repo return li. So we should put everything inside the URL. Repo dot average. Full name. Repo with full name. That's right. But there is something. We don't have like this dot state dot repos always because sometimes it's empty, sometimes. So let's say we do this. So if no, not if repos or so we need it multiple times now. So let's say this dot or let's say const repos equal or let's say repos and also loading. Equal this dot state. Okay? Clear? Clear? And you say repos here. If repos dot length it's more than 1 and more than 0. So if the length of the array of repositories it's bigger than 0, so we have at least 1, we will do the loop. Each child should have a unique key. The key, and you can see here because it's GitHub data, we have here ID of the repo. Okay, so we can say here key equal repo dot ID. Yes. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. This is like the awesomeness of
We'll
real.
go 5 years back and we'll be crying because there was no help.
Just a second. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Yes.
In the console,
Warning.
this one down look like zero.
That's a one.
Yeah.
It's a warning. Well, yes.
Always I have it. This problem.
No, this is like you need to read it. For example, it's different. For example, now it's loading is assigned the value but never used. Because loading we are not using it, but it's a value, it's a variable, but we are not using it. So now let's say loading.
One is like saying,
Download this. There is developer something. You have to download developer something. Yeah, it's telling like this. So
it's just saying that
Let's steal some CSS. Let's steal some CSS. It's not mine. Don't say explain it and stuff. It's not mine.
when you steal it, it becomes so much prettier.
Exactly. Especially design.
When
Especially.
you're doing yourself, it just sucks, but when you take it from somewhere else, it just, yeah.
Cool stuff. I could never do that. Okay, so this is so we just need to add this. So return. So here I would say like enter everything. Loading. If it's loading, it will go and run this. Or done.
So now,
You can put it like center. Stealing CSS. Stealing CSS. Go faster. No.
It's margin.
Yeah, it's like I want to do it like both center div, center div horizon. This should be this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It doesn't.
Just show us the that's how it is.
What the fuck was that? It wasn't me. That's good. It was his code. It was not. It was like.
The picture.
Background
The
color.
latest Facebook.
Let's.
Yeah, this one.
It was fucking long. What the fuck? And it's done. Hello. She wants to talk with you about the
Yes.
that we didn't do.
We never found the X.